Good morning, and hopefully you can see me this time. We'll see how it goes. If you can pop in the comments if you can see me and hear me okay, that would be great start. So unfortunately I'm about halfway through a stream and I don't think I've got a hard drive recording, which is such a shame, but I thought I would do a really quick overview of what I've done so far, but I want to make sure that we have some people in the room first. Yay, Deb can see me. So, naughty scheduling in Streamlabs obviously isn't working properly because I had it all set up and good to go. You should have had a fantastic stream so far. Typical. So, very quickly, what have I done? Well, you've been waiting. So, if I go over to display. So, prior to stream, I set up a cut file. And this is all done in Affinity Designer, and it's using the shape tools and also a lot of offset as well for guides and things. So if you want to see a video of that, I did actually do a screen capture for that, so we should be able to get that into YouTube. So then from there I exported two copies. So I exported an SVG copy that had this layout exactly as is, and then I also started a new document with our usual scan and cut setup and just move this circle so that I could send a copy through without any elements overlapping. Yeah, bad day, Mum. Like, it couldn't just give me a nice easy time to get back into it. No. So let's go into Canvas and let's just cancel that for a second. So I have two groups. I have the draw layout, which is at that original 12 by 12 file, and that's all set to draw, and I've already sent that across to my machine and done that. And then we have the cut pieces, so these don't overlap, and I'm going to be able to send them one at a time as needed. So that's going to be our next step, but before we get that far, just very quickly want to go back over the drawing. So it's a bit dark today, isn't it? But hopefully that'll work in our favour. So I've done a guide drawing onto a white 12 by 12. It doesn't look white at the moment, but it is white, trust me. And I did that with something that I was giving you a naughty sneak peek of. So this is something that Lucy has been working on and with. So this is a Metasil pencil, and Lucy is going to be doing a blog piece on these, so she's really been putting it through its paces. So when you get yours, it's going to have a much sharper tip. So really worn away at it, and it takes some. It's going to give you HB line, but it's the benefits of it over a normal pencil is it's going to keep that point for much longer, so that when we're doing things like drawing in our scan and cut, it's not going to get halfway through and go paler. Okay, so that's our first bit done. So we have our guideline. Now the other thing that I was saying before stream went was that we can actually do a little bit extra in terms of the drawing and things if you want to then extend that cut file further. But let me know if that's something you want to see in terms of effects. But for stream I thought that's probably quicker and easier. So we now have 4 sections that we want to cut. And I was thinking it'd be really nice to do something that has a bit of an unusual rainbow theme. So I've pulled out 4 colours of roughly the same pattern. So there we go. So we've got the dark purple, we've got our cerise pink, our mustard yellow, and our lime. So it's gonna be kind of vaguely rainbow light, but it's up to you which order you want to do these in. If you want to move that purple to the end, so it's a bit more like a proper rainbow as such, you can do that. If you prefer to have it so that it is up like that, it's really up to you. Now I'm thinking for mine, I'm going to drop that purple one down to the bottom. So we're going to cut these one at a time. So let's start off with our pink, and you can see that we've already got some cutting out done out of our paper already. That's not going to matter. Okay, so let's transfer across our file. So if we go back to our display, I just want to cut this first bit up here. So to do that, because it's grouped, we want to go inside our group, and then we're going to hide everything else apart from what we want to send. So we're just going to send this bit here. Now we don't have to cut that bit in that exact location, so when we do send that across to our machine, we can move that around our paper. And I'm just going to go OK and send that across the internet. Now that bit actually worked. So let's go across to our scan and cut. Okay. So you can see I've still got the previous design on my screen. So I'm just going to go home to reset and OK. So now we want to load our mat. And then we're going to retrieve data from the internet. And hopefully you can hear me okay too, because we have a new microphone. I've pinched Lucy's microphone, aren't I naughty? So we can now move that shape anywhere we want to best suit what we want to use for our paper. So given that we've got this bit cut out here, what we could do is move that shape down so that it's going to fill this space in here. So we can move that down there. I'm going to use the grid on my mat and these measurements along the side to help me place that so that I'm going to miss this without having to do a full background scan, just because I'm feeling a little bit lazy. So once you know that you're going to be clear, then you can cut that through. Now obviously if you wanted to do space saving, then you could rotate those shapes, but then obviously your pattern is going to change direction, so it's whether your pattern is directional or not. And thank you, Mark, for letting me know that you can hear me loud and clear. So let's go OK, and we want to cut this first shape out. I'm going to use my auto blade just because it's what I have to hand, and they're pretty basic shapes anyway. I'm just going to drop me cut pressure a little bit, and let's go for it. So hopefully you've all caught up with the rotary blade video now. Certainly has enough viewing figures to say that you all have. But yeah, it's been great fun. Let's very quickly pop that overhead. Okay, so before we move our card from our mat, we want to make sure that we have a good clean cut spot on first time. So I'm going to pop that paper to one side. Now we can put the papers back in the pads, because the papers I'm using today are all from our never-ending paper pads. So there we go. We've got our first shape, so that's going to be, if I bring my 12 by 12 back in, and that's this first shape here, like so. Okay. then we need mustardy colour is going to go next. So again, we can pop that one on that. Now with this one, there's no areas that have already been cut. So you might choose to use an area that you can then use that aperture in your layout. So if you want to use the pads as a bit of an album, you can actually turn your thinking around and do it that way. So back to centre. There we go. So we want to turn on our next piece. Okay. Now if ever you're not sure, just go back to the one before and you can see that you're following that circle round. And let's transfer that across via the internet. Okay. And it's a bit counterintuitive that since the last update we have to then go cancel to clear our screen. So back on the Scanner Cup, we're going to go OK. We're going to hit home to reset, retrieve data, and back to the internet. And we've got the next piece. So that's currently located more or less where it's going to be on the actual layout. So if you wanted to kind of replicate it so that you were creating frames and cutting all the pieces from each pattern, then you could do that and then have like a negative version of the layout. But I think for this one, if I go back, let's move that up here. So we can always then use our other pieces to actually create a bit of a corner effect up here. Now I know that the next piece is going to be a bit larger, so I'm just going to drop that down. So if we follow this line through, it's going to meet on that centre point. So then we're giving ourselves options somewhere down the track for another layout. So let's go OK and cut. Now we know that the last cut successfully, so we shouldn't need to change our settings. Okay, so we're going to take that off. And back to overhead. And we've got our next piece. So hopefully you can now start to see why I haven't been using our space saving to kind of pull those shapes round about, because otherwise your pattern is going to start to kind of be distorted in that same way too. So next we're going to go for our green. So that's going to be a bigger shape here. Okay, and cut the centre, and let's reveal that next one. So it's a bit of a weird order, this one, so that's going to jump across to there. And again, we can double check what we've done so far. So we've done this one and this one. So you can see that that's the right next step. We'll transfer that across. Okay. Internet. Okay. And cancel. So back across to the Scan Cut. So we're going to go OK, home to reset, pull that back in. So now we get to think again, do we want to twist this? Do we want to move it? how can we best use our paper? So on this occasion, I'm going to pop this one up here and just put that there. So let's go OK. And away we go. Hi Thea, welcome back. I was chatting to everyone and I was like, that's weird, nobody's answering me. I was asking Carol what Yorkshire Day was and I was like, I don't know. And thanks Mum for letting me know that Dad's back safe. Okay. So. We have our next piece on there. Like so. And finally, let's go back to centre. And we're going to turn on that last little piece. So this one's quite diddy, but there we go. And back to screen cam. There we go. So line up the paper. Now this one's actually one of my favourite sheets, which may seem a bit bizarre because it's one of our detailed sheets, but I just like how the colours all came together on it. So I'm going to go, OK, reset, OK, retrieve from the internet, and this time we can decide again where we want to put that. So I'm going to put this down in this bottom corner. And you're going to notice that I'm not necessarily taking things all the way up to the edge. And that's because if we want to use our paper pads as a storage system for all our offcuts, which we can do, if we focus on cutting from this right hand edge first, as we then move across, we're going to keep our binding intact till the last moment. So all of the papers are available from our online store, which is plannercraft.co.uk, and there is a code as well that I will be popping up on Facebook later, so that you can get a little bit of a discount. Okay. So, if we go back to overhead, we now have the first bits of our layout. Now, let's see if I can just get it to pick up those pencil lines, because we still have 2 more shapes to do, but I'm not going to do these on air necessarily. So in here we've got a big circle, which is going to be our photo. So I already have a photo planned, ready to go in there. And then we have another little shape here. And the idea being that I want to use a cut apart or something like that to go in that space. So I thought what I would do, means we've had some glitches today, is actually divide this into 2, just so that we can kind of get our basic structure in. And then if you want to create along with me, I will pop the cut part up for you so that you can play along too. So what you'll need is like a range of pattern papers that will give you a rainbow kind of effect. So you can see from mine that you can be very loose with that interpretation. And then the base at the moment is 12 by 12, but you could scale that down if you wanted to, so that you could do it on 10 by 10 or an 8 by 8, depending on which square format you like working with. 4 by 4 may be pushing it a little. Okay, so let's stick these down very quickly, and then we'll go to a break. So what I'll probably do is have lunch and then come back later this afternoon so that we can finish this off. So you can already have applied double-sided adhesive sheet to your papers before cutting, and that speeds this bit up a little bit. But if, like me, you don't know quite if you're going to end up using those pages to make an album as well, then you may find that the better option for you is to just put up with doing little bits of tape. Okay, so I'm going to use my pencil line to give me a guide as to where this piece is going. And there we go. So the Metal pencils do actually erase the same way as a normal pencil. So if I needed to erase one of those lines, I can do. It just means that I can draw longer distances without having to worry about repositioning the pencil in the holder or sharpening it. So even when you're using like an automatic pencil, you can find that you have to reset it if you're doing a lot of line, or if you're filling, for example. Okay. And if you want to tuck things into these segments, as in tuck behind, you could do your adhesive tape a little bit further in from the edge of your shape. But I'm quite happy to just trim those things to a straight edge, just to tuck in above and below, rather than having anything coming out around the circles, I think. Okay, so offer it up and give it a wiggle if need be. There we go. And the good news is you can't accidentally stick it upside down. With this design, you can't really go wrong. Unless your streaming software has other ideas. Okay, so the other thing is I'm only really sticking 3 sides, because that inside bit is going to be stuck down pretty well by the 2 side strips. So in terms of how I created it, it was all done using offset and then the shape tools to turn the circles into donuts. As I said, if you want to see how the cut file actually gets created, I have done a video on that too. Okay, and we're nearly there. So this afternoon, what I'll do is show you how to size the photo and then cut it out, so that I'm making sure that we stay accurately to our layout, and then also how we can use our cut apart sheets using basic shapes instead of necessarily using the files that come with them. Okay. Pop that there. And then we have our layout all done. So now it's just this photo to go in here, and any embellishments that we want to include in and around. So apologies for the delay, because the initial starting video kind of went into a lot more detail about the setup of the file. But it's one of those things, isn't it? Yeah. It's been a while, and it's been a good month since we've done this. So hopefully now we can get back on track a little bit. And there we go. So many questions before I go, and hopefully we'll be back probably about 2, just to have time for lunch and everything. If there's no questions, I'll call it at the end of the stream. So okay, take care and bye for now.